Sagittarius, when you have a year where there's eclipses in angular houses, Uranus entering the sector of your chart governing relationships, you can be certain that the year that you're stepping into has astrology that's anything but boring. Hi, my name's Haley Comet, and welcome to my Cosmic Corner of the Internet, where we discuss all things astrology, and today, all things 12 Days of Cosmos Sagittarius 2025 edition. What is aligning for you within the next year, and how it is that you can co-create with these themes if you are a Sagittarius. And as I stated within the intro, you've got a lot of angular house activity, which tends to bring about themes, transitions, and changes that are more instrumental and influential. What I will say, Sagittarius, is that you are ruled by Jupiter, who is shifting from territory where it despises into territory where it adores. It's a bit like when you're out in the snow and the cold and you get into a hot tub, that feeling of relief and feeling comfortable and at ease. Yeah, that's the energy that you will be moving into towards the end of this year. So while things may be shifting, changing, and rearranging, I want you to hold that vision as a powerful Sagittarius that you are, that all is aligning for your highest and best good, because it is. I want to let you know that this video is part of my 12 Days of Cosmos series, where I'm taking every single sign through what is aligning for them in the year 2025. And true to my style, I particularly hone in on how it is that you can work with and co-create with these themes. If you're not familiar with me, my content, and my Cosmic Corner of the Internet, my name is Haley Comet. I specialize in co-creative astrology. So I'll never make you feel like a victim to the cruel and mean cosmos above you. I believe that it's not just about what happens with the astrology, but what we make happen with this astrology. So you'll find that style alive within this video, as well as all of the other content on my channel, my all sign forecast, as well as my weekly horoscope series, Magic Monday. It's all astrology. I'm straight up when it comes to more challenging energies. I know my Sagittarians appreciate that, but I'll always empower you and inspire you, because truly you are a co-creator within your own universe. And you can always meet these transits halfway by grabbing hold of opportunities, aligning with lessons, and really navigating the challenges with grace. So if that sort of style resonates with you, I would so deeply appreciate a subscription to the channel or any little nudge of engagement that you can give to this video. I want to highlight that this video will be the most relevant and applicable if you are a Sagittarius rising or if you are a Sagittarius sun. Now, the reason for this is that I utilize houses when foretelling your astrology. So your rising sign will be the most accurate because that is your actual houses and whole sign house system. I also recommend sun sign, though to a lesser degree of significance, simply because I additionally use solar houses, which is a technique within astrology in which we drag the sun into the first house and set up the houses accordingly. Think of the rising sign forecast as the cake. Like, that's the bulk of what it is that your year will be about. And the sun sign forecast may be the frosting. On top, with some other themes coming alive. So make sure to check that out if your other sign is not posted quite yet. Keep an eye on my channel as I'm posting all throughout the rest of December. But without further ado, Sagittarius, let's go ahead and take it into your forecast. Sagittarius 2025, Dancing with Destiny. Sagittarius, in setting up your celestial story for the upcoming year, I like to firstly call out a defining transit of the year. This is a transit that you may find is more influential and more impactful for you and your journey. So much so that when you think back to 2025 and years to come, you may think, oh, 2025. That was the year that Uranus entered Gemini, and all of the themes that we will connect on within the sector began to come alive for me. So let's get into it. Now, I want to let you know firstly why this is so influential for you. Gemini is your opposite sign. And so from a house perspective, this governs your 7th house, which is an angular house, which is typically more significant, and it deals with one-to-one connections, relationships, and partnerships. This is not a story that lasts all of 2025, nor is unique to 2025. Uranus dabbles into the Gemini section of the sky, and thus your 7th house, from July 7th to November 7th of this year. Now, Uranus and Gemini as a transit will be the case until 2033. So it's not unique to 2025, but why I called it out as your defining transit is because you may see a lot of the themes, hints, and foreshadows around what this transit will have in store for you. And that's what the next 8 years of your life will have in store for you. So it's important to pay attention to how you see these energies come to the surface, particularly as it relates to your dealings with others, whether that is a marriage partner, whether that is a long-term relationship, whether that is a business partner, whether that is a contract. Seventh house governs all of these arenas. And what does Uranus govern? Because like I said, it may not be settling in for the long haul this year, but it's dipping its toe in. And so it is impacting the sector of how it is that you interact with others. And Uranus is the planet of the unexpected. So the ethos around Uranus is really expect the unexpected. So here we are trying to predict and foretell what to expect when the planet of unexpected enters our relationship sector. Here are some themes for you to look out for. So firstly, this could be a change. Quite literally, this could be a change in relationship status. If you are single, you could get into a partnership. If you are in a partnership, you could crave more freedom and want to break up. That's the first layer of how Uranus may manifest. Now, it's part of a longer story, so it's not that we're all going to have this dramatic, huge relationship change, but there could be a change in our relationship status. Even if we stay in the same relationship status, there could be a change within the connection. If you are married, the energy of Uranus in 7th house, you may find that you are craving a bit more freedom. You're craving a bit more independence. You're wanting to try something new within the relationship. Because 7th house can also represent our spouse, your spouse may be going through something, maybe going through some sort of change, going through a midlife crisis, wanting to do something differently. Uranus as a planet can be quite a restless energy. So if you are in a connection and it feels a bit claustrophobic, you're with someone who's trying to tell you what to do or tell you how to be, it's going to feel quite uncomfortable when Uranus enters into this sector. Because ultimately, Uranus is the planet of to thine own self be true. Essentially breaking free of anyone trying to tell us what to do or who to be, which, by the way, I'm talking to Sagittarians. Why would you want to be with anybody who's trying to tell you what to do anyway? When you're all about your freedom. But if any of you are in a connection and you're like, I need to fit into this box in order to be this person's partner, I have all of these limitations on my freedom, on my autonomy, Uranus in your 7th house can be a time that you decide to rebel. That's not to say that you need to depart the relationship altogether, but there could be an energy around pushing back a little bit, reminding your partner, I am my own autonomous person, and this relationship will not thrive unless we are both granting one another the space to be true to themselves. And maybe your partner is going through this. Like I said, they're going through some sort of change within their life. They're hitting a midlife crisis and they want to buy a sports car or start doing something different. The key theme to navigating a Uranus transit is really giving people space to be themselves. Now, I'm not saying that people need to be disrespectful or push beyond established relationship boundaries. That's not what I'm saying. But the biggest thing with Uranus is that sometimes, whether it's on our end or on our partner's end, sometimes when we see that the other person that we're in a connection with is changing, sometimes we go to cling in deeper, right? Because it feels uncomfortable. It's like, what are you doing? This isn't our typical dynamic. This is not the person I married. This is not the person I got into a relationship with. What are you doing? Go back to normal. And because Uranus energy can make us more restless, that's when this energy can actually show up quite chaotically around our partner just impulsively deciding to, move abroad or do something because they are feeling controlled. So whether it's your partner doing it to you or you doing it to the other person, it's important to give people the space to try new things, to explore, again, in respectful ways that honor the commitment of the connection. But the energy of Uranus, you cannot make people conform. You cannot people fit into a mold that ultimately they no longer fit into. And it's not to say the two of you need to change your entire lives. There are ways to microdose change. In a sense, I remember when I had a Uranus transit, I was just feeling so restless. Sometimes you just want to change everything, right? You want to move, you want to break up, you want to dye your hair pink just because you're restless and life gets monotonous sometimes. And especially if you've been doing your due diligence and you go to work and you handle the kids and like all of the different arenas of your life, sometimes you just want to rebel. You just want to do something wild. You just want to do something crazy. And that doesn't need to be something extreme. You could do it in small ways. When I had a Uranus transit, that's when I got these extensions actually, because I was like, I just need to do something different. And sometimes if we honor that desire to do something different, to break the rules, to rebel, to try something new in smaller ways, like we kind of feed that wildness that's within, we don't feel so tempted to break out of our life in these big ways. Sometimes it just springs because there's been so much control and restriction and being told what to do that there's just this desire to break free. And it's not that our entire life was wrong and that this is genuinely what's best for us. Sometimes after Uranus transits, we're like, okay, now I changed everything and I still have this restlessness because I wasn't getting to the deeper core of why I felt unfulfilled within my relationship or why I feel like our life has gotten monotonous together. I didn't get to that core. So I always say, when you're moving into a Uranus transit, which you are Sagittarius, whether this is on your end or on your partner's end, there could be an energy around wanting to do something different. And it doesn't need to be, we need to move abroad. We need to, open up the relationship. It doesn't need to be anything dramatic. And sometimes when we let that Uranian restlessness and wildness, and sometimes even feeling claustrophobic, sometimes when we allow that to win out, sometimes we make the shifts, right? We break away from a relationship. We move abroad. We sell all of our things. These big ways to answer this Uranian call. Sometimes we do all those things. And then we recognize, oh, there's still something within me that feels unfulfilled. Wherever it is that you go, there you are, Sagittarius. And I think the way that a lot of 2025's astrology is lining up for you is a reminder of that you can change the scenery, you can change the relationship, but until you confront things, until you get down to your foundations, until you contemplate what it is that you really desire and what it is that you really want, you will just find yourself in different sceneries and different relationships. And with the Uranus transit, still feeling that you haven't been able to quench that restlessness or just that alien feeling, looking at your life, feeling like it doesn't even belong to you, like it's not even your life. Sometimes Uranus energy can bring that to the surface, again, either on your end or your partner's end. And sometimes it's hard when we are in a committed relationship. I'll communicate to my singles in a moment, but sometimes it's hard when we're in a committed relationship and there's Uranus energy active because we've established something. When we enter into a relationship, we agree, I'm going to be me and you're going to be you and we're going to do this thing. And sometimes with the energy of Uranus, it's like I'm craving something different or I want our lives to look different. And it's important as you're stepping into Uranus transit to get excited by this. Because again, it doesn't need to be breakups and diverging paths. It could be the two of you decide, let's live nomadically. Let's sell all of our stuff. We're over this typical monotonous lifestyle. Let's do something different. This could be an energy around, let's get an RV and travel. This could be an energy around, let's start going to shows. Like, let's shake it up. Our soul truly desires to have new experiences. And so if we feel like things have been stagnant, we've just been working so much, it's like Uranus energy could inspire a little bit of electricity in your connection around, let's do some new stuff. You and me, let's find this new iteration of what our connection can be. Because that's the biggest thing with Uranus energy is not fearing change within your partner, not fearing change within yourself, not fearing change within the dynamic. Let it be fun. Let it be exciting. Let it be enlivening. The hardest time that we have with Uranus transit is when we're trying to cling to how things were or how things should be. You gotta let things flow. Both with this transit as well as with North Node Pisces. You gotta let things flow. And people, who it is that you partner with, that's the most unpredictable of all. People could randomly decide that they want something different for their life. Because at the end of the day, you and your responsibility is to live a life that is the most authentic and the most true to you. And when it comes to your relationships, when it comes to your partnerships, you also have to give them the grace to live a life that is the most authentic and true to them. And your decision from that point is to decide, can I accept this person as they are and as they are voicing their desires to be? Or do I need to walk away from this connection? Because we can't tell people how to live. Not during your Uranus transit, not really ever, to be quite honest with you. Again, this could come up within a spouse or something of that nature. Uranus and Gemini, your spouse might share something shocking with you, something that they desire that's shocking, a new vision for the future that they have is shocking. You know, there is a lot of fourth house energy, a desire for a move that they have that is shocking. And it's not to say that you need to go along with whatever their Uranian ideas are, but you do need to hear them out around, okay, is this springing from them living the most authentic life? Is this a genuine reflection of them? Sometimes it's just restlessness, Uranus energy, we could want to do something different, but ultimately, if your partner is saying, this is who I am and this is what I want, are you with me or not? That's where it comes down to you and being an empowered, autonomous soul to be true to yourself as well. Do not bend your will to what your partner wants during this time. And it's not that Uranus is like this scary planet. It just does bring about change. And so there could be something that does change our relationship, a desire that changes a relationship, something that's said that changes a relationship. And whenever we have Uranus in our opposite sign, it's opposite our first house of self. And so as your connection shifts, you shift. So it's also this energy around, you know, maybe I could try on living nomadically with my partner, or maybe I could try on this new lifestyle change. It doesn't need to be right for you. Again, you need to come back to yourself and your sovereign reality and check in around, does this feel right for me, my truth, my path? But there's no harm in trying, I would say, with the energy of Uranus, and just see if it feels good to you. You won't know unless you try. You could explore new sides of yourself that have been untapped. And I want to highlight that these energies will be particularly alive when you have a Uranus transit, which is the case this year if you have Sagittarius placements between 0 to 1 degrees. That means Uranus will oppose your Sagittarius placements. And whether it's coming from a significant partnership within our life or you, the energy of Uranus, there could be a desire to want to change, to want to disrupt, to want to break free. Again, sometimes Uranus in the 7th house, if you feel like you had to get married because that was the expected thing to do, or you married the person that people expected you to do, Uranus is the planet of rebellion. So you can just be like, no, like this is not true to me. Like this was programmed into me that this is who I should be with. But when I really get down to it, this is not genuinely me. I feel like I have to fit into a mold in order to be this person's partner. I feel like I've lost myself. Sometimes Uranus energy could awaken you to that. Now I want to highlight, if you are looking for love at this time, Uranus energy can indicate that your type is changing or may change over this next 8 years, okay? The energy of Uranus in the 7th house, you may find you are attracted to people that you were not attracted to prior. You could have some random connections, bizarre connections, even internet connections with the energy of Uranus. Things that come on suddenly, out of nowhere. You know, Uranus is kind of that lightning bolt energy where someone just pops into your reality. And a lot of times with Uranus transits, it really is like this lightning bolt to our soul, truly, in that it sets fire to us, enlivens us, and inspires us. It can break us out of any mold of how it is that we see the world. You know, when we connect with people during Uranus transits, you might connect with somebody who's a humanitarian, who's a revolutionary, or just somebody who's a rebel, who marches to the beat of their own drum. And as we connect with like really unique, eccentric souls, there's that opportunity for reflection. Again, this is opposing your Sagittarius placements. It brings this mirror to your face around how do you connect with this person? Where is the resonance here? Even if this person is weird, what is this person mirroring to you? And as you connect with these people, whether it's in a business sense or romantic sense or what have you, as you connect with these individuals who break out of the mold, who are unconventional, who are true to themselves, feel how that frees you to do the same thing, to be true to yourself, to break out of your mold. I love being around people who have a strong Uranian signature within their chart because there's a spirit of acceptance. Because Uranus as a planet, it's very weird, it's very bizarre. And so Uranian types, which could be coming into your universe, are individuals who see the bizarre in themselves, they see the bizarre in you, and they don't judge. That's the biggest thing with Uranus in the 7th house, is that you're not judging yourself, you're not judging your partners, or at least that's the energetic that I would encourage you to tap into. Because Uranus energy, we're all on our own path. And I will be honest with you and say that Uranus in the 7th house is not the most stable energy necessarily. It's like people who kind of come in quickly and sometimes can leave just as quick. Now, I don't mean for that to sound scary or foreboding if you're like, oh my gosh, I would love to get into a relationship within the next 8 years. It could just be with the energy of Uranus. Give yourself grace around kissing frogs, or give yourself grace around the different things that you may need to learn. Uranus is a Gemini. the eternal student, the constantly learning, taking the data, maybe there's different lessons that you need to learn, not just about what type you like, what sort of person that you like to date, but also who you are within these connections, with Uranus opposing your first house of self, how it is that you feel within these connections, with North Node, Saturn, and Neptune all spending time in your fourth house this year. Uranus energy could even bring in changes around what it is that you're drawn to within others. You know, Uranus is rebellion. So some of you could even be rebelling against society via your dating life in some way or something of that nature. You could be connecting with people who are quite rebellious, connecting with scientists. Listen, Uranian themes extend far and wide. And even if this person is not an embodiment of Uranus energy, which would indicate meeting somebody who's, like I said, a scientist, a mathematician, a revolutionary, a rebel, it could just represent with Uranus in the 7th house that you are either meeting people in very bizarre, random ways. There could be an energy around relationships coming into alignment in order to reflect the truth of who it is that you are, or an energy around questioning, examining your dating life. Again, did I get married because that's what my family expected me to do? Am I drawn to this particular gender because that is the conventional path? Like, it's a time to really question your love life, question your connections, question who it is that you are drawn to. Now, I would say when it comes to contracts, business partnerships, there could be some unexpected happenings at this time. Uranus energy is hard to predict exactly what, but I would encourage you, if you are in any sort of contracts, sometimes the energy of Uranus, if something feels constricting, like I said, it can feel claustrophobic. So if you do sign on to any important contracts within this next year, because, you know, Saturn, North Node, and 4th house, maybe some of you are buying a house, not all, but some of you could be buying a house, or with Uranus 7th house, maybe signing with a manager or signing in with a business partner. What I would say, it's not that you need to not sign contracts for the next 8 years. What I would say is it might be more important at this time to have an element of freedom or autonomy if something feels really constrictive around, if you're signing on for a creative project or something of that nature. You guys have a lot in the 5th house. It might be important at this time to have a degree of ownership so that it doesn't feel too claustrophobic, so that you don't feel like you're being told how to be or told who to be. Again, whether that's coming from a business partner, coming from a contract, coming from a partner, that doesn't fly when Uranus is in the 7th house. You are breaking free of any mold of how you've been told to be, of who you've been told to partner with, and you are really carving the pathway into living your most authentic life and connecting with the souls who are also living their most authentic life. And because Uranus is a time that we do crave more freedom, sometimes this could be a time in which we meet people who are very open-minded, who have different thoughts on relationship and partnership. Sometimes we try on different relationship structures at this time. Like, some people could start living apart from one another, like married and connected, but living apart. Like, Uranus energy just questions normalcy around, why do we need to live this conventional life when we could just buy a farm with a bunch of our loved ones and live that way? You don't have to do that. But Uranus energy is just like questioning normalcy around, why do we need to live monogamously? Like, maybe that's not right for the two of you. Uranus energy could ask you to question it. Again, you never need to bend your morals or what's right for you. Uranus energy is about getting to the heart of that. What is right for you? How do you like to partner? How do you like to connect with others? What's the relationship that feels like a true and authentic match for you? Okay, Sagittarius, the reason why you are considered a lucky sign is because you are ruled by Jupiter. And some of you may have heard me say that right now, and you may be like, Haley, comment, after 2024, I'm not feeling so lucky. Potentially, some of you. And the reason I say that is also because of Jupiter. Your ruling planet has been in Gemini. Now, could this have brought new people, new collaborators, new partners into your universe throughout this transit, which began in 2024? Absolutely. Could this have brought growth into your life? Absolutely. But I want to highlight here that Jupiter does not particularly like being in Gemini. So your ruler was going through territory that it did not particularly enjoy. Like, think of the stores that you don't like to go to. For me, for some reason, I'm thinking of Big Five sporting goods. I don't know why. I just don't thrive there. I don't like being there. It's not my happy place. Versus think of a store that is your happy place, like the store that you walk in and you're like, yes, I could look at all of the things. I love to be here. Like me, don't judge me, but I love a Sephora moment. I just like walk in, I like to look at all the makeup. It's so much fun. Like, think about the store that you walk into and you're like, I love it here. That's sort of the vibe. The vibe from me going from Big Five sporting goods, I'm like, ooh, to going to Sephora. Yay! You going from your least favorite store to your favorite store. That's the journey that your ruling planet is going on in the year 2025. Going from territory where it's like, get me out of here, there's baseball cleats and footballs all around me, to, oh yay, now I get to look at highlighters and bronzer. You know, in my example, yours may be different. But ultimately, what I want to highlight, I'm still the same. Whether I'm in Big Five or Sephora, I'm still the same. You're still the same whether you're in your least favorite store or your favorite store. So some of you may be thinking about the past couple of years. You know, a lot of you have had a Saturn transit. A lot of you will have a Saturn transit this year. That's not particularly pleasant. Your ruling planet was in territory. It didn't love to be in. That is not always particularly pleasant. But at the end of the day, Jupiter is still Jupiter. You are still you. Reflection, you might be like, okay, yes, there definitely was challenges and hardships, but I persevered because I'm me and that's what I do. And that's definitely the mind state to embody. You know, a huge reason why Sagittarius is considered lucky is because sometimes their luck is a self-fulfilling prophecy. They feel like it's going to work out and then it does. So at the end of the day, I do believe, you know, our mindset and how it is that we work with these transits, we can, you know, manifest different results. But what I will say here is that Jupiter is the planet of abundance and growth, and we can manifest with a lot more ease when it's in territory that it likes to be in. And with this as your ruler, you can manifest with a lot more ease when Jupiter is in territory that it likes to be in. So the energy that you're stepping into, particularly in the latter half of this year, you might find that you are able to manifest or call things in, or even just feel more in alignment with the universe within the latter half of the year. So let's break down the nuances. Jupiter, your ruling planet, will be in Gemini from the beginning of the year to June 9th. Now, even though it's in territory that it doesn't like to be, at the end of the day, Jupiter is Jupiter. And you can find that the beginning half of the year, you are meeting new souls, connecting with new souls, collaborating with new souls, learning new things about yourself via the people that you are connecting to and connecting with. Keep in mind, Uranus enters this sector in the latter half of the year. So there is a focus on relationships and partnerships this year, Sagittarius. Be open to people coming into your world, potentially in bizarre ways when it comes to Uranus, potentially in expansive ways with the energy of Jupiter. If some of you are already in a connection, you know, some of you could be traveling with your partner, you know, with Jupiter in the 7th house. Some of you could be wanting to go abroad. Some of you could be learning something new when it comes to your partnership. There feels to be a lot of learning that you personally are doing through the reflection of others. But again, like I said, at the end of the day, it's to thine own self be true. It's important to bounce off these lessons and these reflections around, how does this feel true for me? How am I learning about myself through connecting with these particular people? If you are dating at this time, it's not about, does this person like me? It's really around, do I like this person? Remember to center yourself within your relationships. It's your ruling planet in your 7th house. You're learning about self through bouncing off energy from others, maybe even people who are outside of your typical type, with Uranus entering a little later on this year. From June 9th until the end of the year, going on until 2026, Jupiter enters Cancer. This is your ruling planet's exaltation. It's its comfiest place. It loves to be here. And the reason for this is that when we think of Jupiter, it is a very altruistic planet, and Cancer is all around nurturing and pouring into things. And so Jupiter does well here because it just signifies this abundant mind state around the more that I pour out into what I care about, the more that I personally receive, and really believing in an abundant universe in which we are all cared for and nurtured and nourished. And this energy enters into your 8th house. And so the 8th house governs support that comes to you from others, support that comes to you from the universe, ways that you are being supported and nourished and nurtured by other sources. That's why it's important this year, Sagittarius, to not worry about the how. The how is not your responsibility. The how is not your job. The how is the universe's job. And what I mean by that, stay focused on what you want, what you desire within your heart of hearts. We'll talk about that when we talk about the North Node. But with Jupiter in the 8th house, the ways that the universe delivers that to you might be a bit unexpected. Like this could be an energy in which you are wanting to call in, living from an RV, living nomadically, and you're like, well, I need this amount of money. Just write it down, hide it somewhere in your house, and let the universe deliver it to you. Like I'm telling you, Jupiter in the 8th house can be a time that we are a magnet for unexpected support and finances to find us. The how it finds you is not your responsibility. Again, it could answer to you via an inspired idea around, oh, I'm going to do this, and that's how the money is going to come in. Like sometimes we do have to co-create with the universe. It'll bless you with the idea, then you make it happen. But sometimes just this energy around the more that you're flowing and trusting your intuition, the more that the check just is in the mail and the resources just fall in your lap. It really is an energy with Jupiter in the 8th house. And this is a bit crude, but it's kind of that vibe where the universe is your sugar daddy. Like you can receive and be quite abundant during this time. And 8th house, it's not like this sort of energy around I clock in, I clock out. Like 8th house is this energy around, oh, I got this random inheritance. I got this random check in the mail. One of my songs went viral and I have some passive income coming in from that. Like there can just be an energy around unexpected finances finding you, as well as unexpected support in some way. If you've been calling in somebody to invest in a project, or if you've been calling in some sort of person to manage your money or manage your creations or something of that nature, this can absolutely be a time for this. And 8th house deals with things such as child support, alimony. Again, Cancer brings in a lot of family themes too. So this can be a time that you are receiving from a family member, like a family member may be supporting you during this time or may leave something for you in their will. Again, no fear mongering here. I'm not saying anyone's literally going to pass away, but all I'm saying is that the energy of Jupiter in the 8th house, you can receive more unexpected ways. And I want to encourage you at this time, Sagittarius, be open to receive. Because a lot of times, yes, this is monetary, but we can expand 8th house themes and think of it as well as emotional support, like spiritual support. Be open to even the other side helping you, your angels helping you. Like this is a time to release the grips around, I need to do it all myself and I need to be independent and I need to not rely on anyone. When we do that, when someone tries to give us a gift or give us a check, we're like, oh, no, I couldn't possibly accept that. Sometimes the universe is giving us a gift using this person as a conduit. And so when we say, no, the universe is like, oh, you don't want us to pour into you? You don't want to feel nurtured and nourished and fed via what we're trying to pour into you? Okay. So it's a time to receive. I'm not saying you have to be greedy. Like I said, Jupiter in Cancer, the reason it does so well here is because it's a two-way street. You could also be pouring out into what it is that you care about. Some of you could profit from a sale of a home, potentially. I do feel there is like a focus on home, like some of you could be moving or selling a property or even buying a property. 8th house does have to deal with loans and debt. Some of you could be freeing yourself from debt. Some of you could have like a loan forgiven or something of that nature. Or there could just be this relief, this freedom because you've finally paid down your debt and there's just energy around, I feel free. But some of you could be, manifesting resources or bringing in what you desire, calling it in via a loan of some sort or via a debt of some sort. Again, debt, when used wisely, because Cancer is very security oriented. I'm not saying to be impulsive during this time. Debt can be a tool when it is leveraged properly. Jupiter is an excessive energy, so definitely be mindful before you get yourself in some sort of financial mess. But let's say, I really want this land. Having a mortgage can be an asset. Is it debt? Yes, it is, but there's good debt and bad debt. Like this could be a time that you might be taking on some good debt of sorts. Some of you might even have like a tax lien or something of that nature that you're free from, or you could find you get a nice juicy tax return. Again, unexpected money. I loved this transit when I had it. I'm telling you, it was just, money found me in the most random ways, So write down what it is that you're calling in, whether it's financial or otherwise, and get out of your own way. Let things flow. Your ruling planet is entering a water sign. Let things flow to you. The universe knows everything about you, knows your heart, knows your soul, knows your desires. And this is a year that you can really receive what your heart desires. But I'll tell you one thing, Uranus in your opposite sign, Jupiter in the 8th house, it's not going to come how you thought it was going to come. Like you might be calling in $5,000 because you want it to show up within your business. And then you might find that you sell an old designer purse and you get a check for $5,000. Like you need to be open in how these streams of support come to you. You need to use your intuition. I'm not saying we could just lock ourselves in our room and just manifest being a millionaire. Like honor intuitive ideas. That's also a way that we receive, right? Support from the universe around ideas that we could be a conduit for that help us call in revenue. I also see some of you are doing more shadow work in order to be more loving and nourishing to yourself. Some of you, listen, you could be having a very passionate time. Let's say that. It's very intimate. It's very passionate. And I'll be forthright. This transit's happening at the same time that Uranus is in the 7th house. Some of you might be, experimenting in that department or something of that nature. But ultimately with Jupiter in Cancer, it feels safe. It feels nourishing. Because again, when you have that foundation of feeling safe, that's when, you can really be yourself. Let me just say that. But 8th house can be a bit existential. It is the house of death. And so some of you are going through some sort of transformation based on where the eclipses are landing. Some of you could be walking away from a career path that you thought was the path for you. A lot of you might be questioning, like, what do I really want out of this experience? And with the energy of Jupiter and Cancer in the 8th house, it could just be making you question, like, what's my legacy? What legacy do I want to leave my family? What generational lineage am I a part of, perhaps? And what is the legacy that I want to leave? When I am no longer here, what do I want to leave behind me? You could also just be thinking of, overall end of life as an abstract term around, gosh, the way that things are going, things feel a little wacky. Like, how much time do I really have on this planet? And if I don't have that much time, I'm not saying that's literally what's happening, but sometimes when we contemplate, like, regardless of when that is, I don't have infinite minutes on this planet. So sometimes that frees us around, if my time here is limited, why the heck am I trying to fit into these people's molds? Or why the heck am I in a relationship where I'm being told what to do? Or why the heck am I in this career path where I feel drained and depleted a majority of the time? Like, when it's my time to go, it's my time to go. So what's holding me back from my own authentic desires? Like, that could be an energy here. And some of you can be accepting support, as I highlighted, from somebody else. This does govern your spouse's income. So for some of you, your spouse could be getting a raise. Some people could be starting to pull from a pension or Social Security or something of that nature. Even you and your partner could just be thinking about end of life plans. That could be something that's being contemplated. Some of you could be caring for an ailing family member, and so maybe getting wills and things of that nature all aligned, all set up. And when we apply a more metaphoric lens, 8th house, while it's deep, it's intense, it can be a time of transformation. And again, this transformation feels like it's in a very soulful inner way. Some of you might surprise yourself. You could be more emotional in the latter portion of the year. But when we grant ourselves the space to feel our deepest sads, we also grant ourselves the freedom to feel our most blissful of happies. Like, I think a lot of times when we have a ruling planet go through the 8th house, we sometimes do feel into more extremes within this life. Again, when we understand death, we can understand life. When we understand the depths of sorrow, we can understand the heights of bliss. When we understand the crevices of our shadow, we can understand the heights of our light. Like, some of you could be playing in these more deep themes. Some of you could start to get into the occult. You could start to get into metaphysics in some regard, or hidden knowledge, things like this. But I feel that you're leveraging these tools, whether it's shadow work, whether it's spell work. Listen, I don't know what you're getting up to, but it feels that you are leveraging these tools in order to call in what it is that you desire. I just feel like you're really tapping into your magic in the year 2025. And I feel that your ruling planet entering your exaltation, it's like you can manifest with a bit more ease. You can grow with a bit more ease. You can move in the direction of what your soul is calling in with a bit more ease. Because you're following your intuition, you're trusting your gut, you're going beneath the surface away from what other people have wanted for you in order to really get to the core and to the soul around this time here on this planet is my own. What do I want to do with it? Okay, Archers, as I said earlier, you will have eclipses in angular houses. You will have most of the eclipses in the year 2025 landing in your 10th house of career and your 4th house of home family. The reason why angular houses are a little bit more exaggerated or intense is because when we really distill life down, it really comes down to the angular houses. 1st house of self, 4th house of home and family, 7th house of others, 10th house of career. Like that's like the meat and potatoes, right? When it comes to our life. Of course, the other houses are instrumental and they're part of life, but it's like the sprinkles on top. Like angular houses really get to the major pieces of our life. Who it is that we are, where it is that we live, who it is that we partner with, and what it is that we do is angular houses. And those things tend to change when we have eclipses landing here. So let's get into it. So I want to let you know that at the beginning of the year, South Node will enter your 10th house of Virgo and North Node will enter your 4th house of Pisces. I do feel that you are uniquely equipped to be able to rock with this eclipse cycle. I think a lot of people, it's going to feel quite confusing, but I think you being a fellow Jupiterian, like North Node Pisces, I think you might be able to navigate this energy with a bit more ease. Because what North Node Pisces is asking the collective to do is trust in the universe. And again, Pisces, Sagittarius, you're both ruled by Jupiter. You get that. You get faith in the something more. And this is a year to live by that faith in the something more. Like I was saying with your ruling planet in Cancer, I don't know how I'm getting this money, but I know it's coming in. I don't know how I'm going to go through this transformation, but I know it's happening. It's like sometimes the how is not our responsibility. It's just staying focused on the what we want. And particularly with North Node in your 4th house, the how you want to feel. It's not your responsibility how the universe is going to align things together, because as you've likely seen within your universe, I know I've seen within mine, the ways that the universe aligns things can be so beautiful, so synchronistic that it's like, I couldn't have even designed this if I had tried. And sometimes it's scary. Sometimes the foundation of what we thought our life was going to be is crumbling away. And that's where faith is a muscle. And you're being asked to work the muscle of faith this year, to trust in the divine, to see how things truly are aligning for your highest and best good, even if at the moment it seems like things are falling apart. Like the energy of North Node Pisces is trusting in divinity, trusting in divine timing, and seeing wherever possible you can remain serene when there are hiccups and challenges and parts of your plan that are not unfolding as you thought that they would. And you might be a bit of a way shower in that. Like there might be certain things where something happens this year and people are like, why are you not freaking out that you lost that contract at work or what have you? But you just recognize and you're living within the knowledge around, if it's not this, it's something better. Because I'm letting you know, with Jupiter entering your 8th house later this year, something better is coming in. And there's an energy around just bobbing, weaving with the universe around, okay, if that was taken from me, must be opening up for something better. Okay, if somebody left me, it was for the right person to come along. There's just a spirit of acceptance and co-creation with the universe that I feel like you're playing with this year. And that's not comfortable for everybody, but I feel like Sagittarius, you are pretty good at this. So you might find that the more that you're leaning into this muscles of trust in the universe, the more that things are aligning synchronistically and beautifully. And where I see that you are releasing your commitment to your own plan or being so dialed in around the way that things need to be or should be is particularly focused around career, because the South Node in Virgo is in your 10th house. And that may be accentuated with the Virgo lunar eclipse on March 13th and the Virgo solar eclipse on September 21st. That might be a time that these themes are really brought to the surface. But all in all, with South Node transiting your 10th house, this can be a time that you are letting go of what you thought your career path was going to be. And again, it's so important for you to step into this year not fearing this energy at all. It's so easy for our mind to go to the worst case scenario around, I'm gonna lose my job or something's gonna happen. Like, I just see that there could be an energy where you reach a certain milestone where this is always what you've wanted to do, and then you get there and you're like, this is it? Or even looking at your boss and their life and you're like, do I want this person's life? If I continue on in this path, my boss's life is the one that I would have. Like, that's what I would aspire to. Do I want that? Like, sometimes we just have this energy around, I don't want this anymore. I got it and it's not fulfilling, or I feel very drained. I feel overworked with the energy of South Node Virgo. I feel like I'm being underthanked for my service or for my help. I'm not feeling maybe even valued or appreciated. Like there could just be an energy where what you thought was going to align for career, you're finding that maybe it's not aligning, and that's okay. Pay attention to where there's flow, where things are opening up and there's ease, and pay attention to where there's resistance. That's not to say that designing your most aligned career is always going to be easy, but when there's just hurdle after hurdle and issue after issue, and you feel like you're just swimming upstream trying to get anything done, the universe speaks to us around what feels open and expansive versus what feels restrictive and hard. And so some of you could be releasing a certain career path that you thought that you wanted. And like I said, maybe some of you are just feeling drained and overworked, and maybe you are pouring down your working schedule. Maybe some of you are starting to work from home, where you're stepping into a position where you can be home more often, can be a nudge. And you may find that you're a little less ambitious during this time. And it's not to say that your career progress is going to stall. You just might find that that's not a particular arena of a lot of growth. You feel a little disconnected, you feel a little blah. Not every Sagittarius needs a job change during this time, but a couple of you may find, especially around those eclipses in March and September, you may find, I want to do something different. I'm feeling burnt out, I'm feeling drained, I'm feeling underappreciated for my service, for my efforts. That can be something that comes to the surface. Some of you could be releasing a perfectionistic boss of some regard, or the way that their nitpicking voice kind of like echoes within your brain. Some of you could be letting go of what your father wanted you to do. Some of you could even be moving away from a environment where you had a very nitpicky or critical boss. Some of you, if you work for yourself and you've been in a state of overwork and burnout, this can be a time that you are genuinely pouring down your responsibilities. To do less and feel more is the vibe with North Node Pisces. And the biggest thing I want to communicate to you, Sagittarius, is sometimes this transit can feel so weird because you're like, what's going on? I've always wanted this promotion. Like, I've always been so passionate about this. I've always been so ambitious. I don't recognize myself. Why am I craving more time at home? Why am I wanting to start a family? Like, this was never me. You have to give yourself grace as you uncover and explore new dimensions of yourself, new sides of yourself. And to know that you're not lost, you're just evolving. And it's okay that your ambitions are changing. It's okay if your priorities are changing. It's okay if you had a period of your life where you were, hustling and now you're craving something different. That's okay. And sometimes you make the decision that this career path is not for you. Sometimes that decision is made for you. But I want you to see wherever possible to lean in to work that muscle around trusting in the universe and trusting its timing. If not this, something better. For some of you, you could be starting to be supported by a partner or something of that nature, maybe releasing a position that you had in order to, build a home, start a family, or just being able to accept support from family or something of that nature to leave a position where you feel burnt out or drained. This could be a potential for some. Now, if you are in a position where you're like, no, Haley, I love what it is that I'm doing. I'm super passionate about it. I would just say that this could show up around releasing a need to control how people perceive you, control your reputation. It could be an energy around releasing work being your entire life. So while you're letting go of career paths that do not align, your focus is really on what does. Like North Node in Pisces is asking you, how does my life feel? How do I want to feel? What are the career paths that will help me get to the lifestyle that I want? Maybe I want to work from home. Maybe I want to work less. What will fit into that equation? When North Node's in the 4th house, I always think of it as kind of like an inside out sort of energy around, rather than living life from the outside in, around that's what's considered successful and that's what I want to accomplish, so that's what I'll do. It's this energy around, what is it that I desire? What's my ideal day? What's my ideal lifestyle? And what outer opportunity will align with what it is that I desire inwardly? And again, sometimes when you get focused on, this is what I want a lifestyle that feels like this, I want hours that are like this, the universe will orchestrate and align the opportunities to get you that. And so that could be a focus this year. Some of you could be potentially building a property, moving. Some of you could be really prioritizing family. You could be really wanting more time at home, really wanting to rest, really wanting to create. Ultimately, this eclipse cycle is wanting you to let go of how your life looks and tap into how it feels. And your 4th house has a lot of activity. So I want to get into the planets that are transiting Pisces in addition to the North Node. So Saturn will be in Pisces from the beginning of the year until May 24th. And then it enters Aries, which we'll discuss momentarily. But on September 1st, it retrogrades back into Pisces where it stays for the end of the year. This is your 4th house. So a lot of you are putting in the work to build a home, whether that's literal, you're renovating or something of nature, or you are taking responsibility for your home. Maybe some of you are living alone for the first time, or you just bought a property and if something breaks, you gotta fix it. Like Saturn in the 4th house can be that. It can be an energy where you're experiencing delays as it relates to a renovation project. You could feel like a lot of things are breaking. You're having to learn a lot about repairs. Some of you could be buying a property, stepping into something around commitment around property, and it could be a very long, arduous process. I gotta be real with the energy of Saturn. There can be delays, there can be disappointments, but I love the adage, Saturn delays, it does not deny. I love that. So keep your eye on the prize in terms of the home that you want to build. Some of you could be enacting boundaries as it relates to roommates. Some of you could be moving in with a partner, which is taking like some growing pains energy here. Some of you could be caring for an ailing, parent or someone in the family, or your spouse is. Some of Saturn 4th house, we're having to take more responsibility around our family members in some regard, or someone within our family could be going through something hard. They're really leaning on us. And when it comes to family, if you're not literally taking on responsibility for them, this can show up around needing to enact boundaries with families. Maybe some of you are going no contact. Maybe some of you are having to set limits around when your in-laws can come over to your physical abode. You could be really setting limits as it relates to home, property, family, things like this. But I also want to highlight that 4th house is our emotions. And Saturn energy asks you to genuinely work the muscle around supporting yourself, not fearing your demons, befriending them. You've got Jupiter in the 8th house. It's like it's an energy around really doing the work, not avoiding, not escaping, especially with the energy of Pisces. If any of you have certain recreational habits or things that bend reality, Neptune's also here, Saturn's in the 5th house. I see some of you could be going sober this year if you've leaned on alcohol or other substances as a crutch to avoid the emotions that you didn't want to feel. Like Saturn energy could be asking you to really look at that. Some of you could be doing the work to learn more around your ancestry, around your roots. Some of you, even via mediumship abilities, could be connecting with ancestors on the other side. That's probably like only one Sagittarius out there, but the potential for this is alive. And Sagittarius, I want to let you know that these Saturnian themes of structure, of discipline, of hard work, may be the most alive within your journey if you do have Sagittarius placements between 14 to 29 degrees Sagittarius. This indicates that you will experience a Saturn transit in the year 2025, a Saturn square to be specific. And I need to be forthright with you. Saturn squares can make us feel a little cramped. It can make life feel a little hard. It can make us feel a little restricted. We may be certain around what it is that we desire, but experiencing limitations around acquiring it. Some of you could even be experiencing hardships around family, disapproval from family, hard themes coming up around family potentially, or even just hard emotions coming to the surface, challenges around home coming to the surface. But ultimately, with those Sagittarians that have a Saturn transit, I just want to let you know, this too shall pass. Sometimes when you're having a Saturn transit, you could feel like your typical magic or your ability to create the circumstances that you like or go on adventures feels a bit muted, but trust that this too shall pass. Neptune's also in the 4th house for some points of 2025. To be exact, from the beginning of the year until March 30th, at which point it enters Aries, and then it retrogrades back into Pisces October 22nd, where it stays until the end of the year. And so whereas Saturn clarifies and says, oh no, you cannot come over here, or taking on responsibility here, or looking at my emotions here, Neptune energy fogs and blurs. It's kind of this energy around relenting on our boundaries, or just saying, oh, just this one glass of wine won't hurt. So having these both present, it's really important for you to be honest around what it means to genuinely emotionally regulate yourself. It's important to be honest and clear around what is genuinely best for your home, what is genuinely best for your family, but also putting in your own emotions in that equation, just in case some of you are, going no contact or things of that nature. Sometimes Neptune energy, it can make our hearts more open. It can make us more compassionate and empathetic, sometimes to our own detriment, where we let things slide that really shouldn't be let slide. And if you have Sagittarius placements between 27 to 29 degrees, you will experience a Neptune transit this year, which on the higher vibration can make you more inspired, artistic, imaginative, creative, sympathetic. But on the shadow side can make you a little bit delusional, lazy, in your own world, escapist, procrastinating. So just be mindful. Neptune energy can definitely go one of those two ways, especially with Saturn here. So just knowing that those both are transiting the 4th house. Now they will not stay there for the entirety of the year. From May 24th until September 1st, Saturn will be in Aries. Now this is a brief transit and it continues next year, going on for the next couple of years. So pay attention to what themes are foreshadowed. But a lot of you may find that midway through this year, you're really wanting to get serious about something or someone that you love. So let's get into this. If you are a Sagittarius creative, I see some of you could be really being disciplined around, okay, nobody is going to make me, book that time at the recording studio if I don't. Nobody's going to make me write if I don't. I may be a creative person, but my visions aren't going to come to life unless I work towards it. So some of you could be really reshuffling your schedule in order to have time to master a craft. Again, some of you could be in that space of creating. Some of you could be, learning an instrument or doing something else that helps you get better at a creative practice or even a hobby. You could be prioritizing more, wanting to work at or perfect, refine, master, something like this. Saturn is not always the most flowy energy, but it is one that will support you in showing up. If you've been frustrated around, gosh, I've had this novel idea in my head for years and I haven't made it happen. I've wanted to play violin for years and I've never made it happen. Saturn in the 5th house could be like, okay, it's time to get serious about this craft that I love, this hobby that I love. 5th house is also the house of dating. So some of you with Saturn in 5th house, you may find midway this year, you're less inclined to date just to date. Like you could really be wanting something serious. Some of you could enter a serious relationship at this time because 5th house is like romance and dating. So sometimes Saturn, because it's a planet that deals with limitation, sometimes it's this energy around I'm not dating anymore, right? I'm tied up. 5th house also deals with children and inner child. So some of you could conceive this year, become a parent. That's definitely a responsibility that some of you could be taking on. But again, it could show up in a passion project. Some of you giving birth to a creative labor might have been arduous with the energy of Saturn here. Some of you could be really doing inner child work at this time, really doing the work. Again, I see a lot of you doing shadow work, really getting clear on your inner child and where they might still be alive within you, albeit pushed into the crevices of your emotions and of your shadow. And 5th house is also recreation, partying, things of that nature. And so some of you could be partying less. You're not inclined just to do things. Like with Jupiter in the 8th house, you're like, listen, I have limited time on this planet. I want to do the things that really mean something to me. I don't want to just be in the same old bars and around the same old people unless it really lights me up, right? Lights up my soul space. But Neptune in the 5th house, I would say, while Saturn is making you really get discerning around who do I like to go on dates with, who do I want to date, who do I like to romance and be romanced by, I just want to let you know that Neptune energy can be a bit rose-colored glasses energy. So know what it is that you want with the energy of Saturn. Like I said, Uranus in the 7th house, you can allow yourself to be surprised. But Neptune in the 5th, just be mindful around not overly idealizing the people that you are dating at this time, putting them on pedestals, brushing off their red flags. Neptune energy can make us a little delulu, so just keep your feet on solid earth, okay? It's going to be important. But I do see Neptune is making you inspired. You are in tune with the universe as it relates to your creative expression. You could really channel some really amazing creations this year, Sagittarius. I want to tell you that. Because Neptune is that spiritual energy around getting out of our own way and like letting spirit kind of flow through us, whether it's via a paintbrush, our voice, writing, what have you. But Neptune energy by itself typically can make us so kind of lost in the clouds that we don't actually do the thing, right? Pick up the paintbrush, train our voice, write the thing. But Saturn's there. So I see some of you are inspired and you're doing the work to bring those inspirations to life. So work with that energy, certainly. As well as if some of you are contemplating being parents. I'm seeing some of you could like literally be stepping into being parents during this time. You've got Saturn there, so really look at the time commitment, the money commitment. Sometimes Neptune energy could be like, yeah, it'll be great. We're gonna have a child and it's gonna be so great. A lot of it will be great, Sagittarius, but you have to get real about the aspects of it that won't always be great. And just look at that squarely in the face. Maybe that's even looking at this overall concept of time, how much time you have to make that a reality. If that is something that you want, that is not the path for everybody. And it doesn't need to be the path for everybody. Maybe that's where you're doing that Uranian work around, that is not what I see for my marriage and my partnership, and that's okay. And this could be a year that you're getting real with your own desires around that. If you already are a parent, Saturn energy could represent you're having to be more of a disciplinarian, you're having to lay down the law. Neptune being here can sometimes blur those boundaries or those restrictions. With the co-presence here, yes, Neptune energy can soften our hearts and open our hearts and allow us to forgive. But the energy of Saturn, it's just also keeping in mind that it's your job to parent your children, to discipline them, which is hard because you love them so much. And with Neptune, you see the divinity in them, you see the soul in them, but again, it's like somebody can have all of the potential in the world, but if they don't have like the structure in order to bring that potential to life, you're ultimately setting them up at a disadvantage. So this could be a year that as a parent, you're wrestling with these energies around, gosh, I love them so much and they're perfect as they are, because they are. Neptune energy, we're all perfect as souls, but the energy of Saturn, just because they have this potential and have this talent and God gave them these abilities, doesn't mean that they're showing up as that. And maybe Saturn energy means that you're going to have to encourage them to have limits, to have discipline in order to be the best that they can be. I also want to let you know, Sagittarius, that Chiron is also going to be in your 5th house from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And Chiron is the wounded healer. And so some of you are doing some inner child work, as I highlighted. Some of you, your art, your creativity could be a saving grace for you. Like it's something that's helping you heal. It's something that's helping you work through what in your life has been tender, what in your life has been hard. Again, I think if we can create something with our pain as paint, it ultimately transforms our relationship to that painful arena of our life. It's not that the pain goes away. It's not that it makes it okay, but we've turned it into something beautiful. And a lot of you could be doing that this year. And I do want to highlight on the topic of your 5th house, this is very alive this year, not just because you have outer planets transiting here, but because they are squaring off with your ruling planet. Because in June, Jupiter in Cancer at this point will square off with Saturn and Neptune, who are in Aries at this point, in your 5th house. So it's this essentially clash. And I want to let you know that around Jupiter square Saturn times, because this happened twice in 2024, happens for the final time in 2025. Keep in mind, Jupiter is you within the chart. And when square to Saturn, sometimes we could feel a little cramped. We're overworked. Things are hard. We're moving through challenges. And so I just want to let you know that could be alive in June. And there could also be obstacles around wanting to have fun, the energy of 5th house, while also wanting to create the legacy that you want with the energy of 8th house. Maybe you're having to get serious around your recreational habits and how it is that they are aiding to certain themes that are alive within, your psyche or within your shadow self. Like that could be alive here. Even contemplating your escapism, setting limits around how it is that you escape could be something that is coming to the surface. And then later, October 23rd and December 9th, to be specific, Jupiter will square off with Chiron here. So while this is a year with Jupiter in exaltation in which you are in tune with your intuition, you're pouring into what it is that you care about, you're feeling poured into by other people and by the universe, it's not to say that it's seamless necessarily. With this square to Chiron, it just feels like there are certain triggers that are coming up. There are certain wounds in your shadow side that you are addressing. You are prioritizing your healing. Some of you, you're prioritizing your inner child healing. Some of you are even contemplating intimacy healing. Things of that nature could absolutely be coming to the surface. But I see you're really nurturing those wounded parts of yourself. You're holding those inner parts of your inner child with love and compassion. You're holding those wounded parts within your psyche with love and compassion. And you're just replacing wherever there's bitterness and resentment and feelings of unworthiness, you're replacing it with nurturing. Some of you could be remothering yourself or reparenting yourself or just taking a more nurturing role when it comes to yourself, like not being so hard on yourself. I feel as an energy here. North Node Pisces, it's asking you to be compassionate, particularly as it relates to your own emotional landscape. Maybe some of you are hard on yourself for being so sensitive or feeling things so deeply. And there's an energy around being gentle with yourself or even just being gentle with your healing. Things take time. Healing takes time. It's not linear. I remember I went through something and I told myself this year, I was like, by this date, I'm no longer going to be sad about it. And that date came and then add 3 months and there's still hard days. That's just life. And I don't want when those emotions surface or those triggers surface to feel that you're reverting or taking a step back. Sometimes things just surface and it's important for you how you show up when they do. Do you beat yourself up like, oh, can't believe you're still getting over that, or you're still holding on to that? Or do you take that opportunity to stop, drop, and nurture the parts of you that are asking for your care and compassion? I also want to let you know that throughout the entirety of the year, Pluto is in Aquarius. New journey for Pluto. Pluto's been dabbling since 2023, but 2025 is the first year that from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, it's settled into Aquarius, which for you means it's settled into your third house, which deals with the mind. A lot of you could be really prioritizing mental health at this time. It deals with our voice. Some of you could be using your voice in order to, rebel, to speak out. Some of you could be leveraging social media to do something like this. Some of you could go through power struggles with neighbors, siblings. That could be absolutely reality. So Sagittarius, as the magical Jupiterian soul that you are, I wanted to support you in moving towards your highest available timeline in the year 2025. And to support you with this, I've written you some soul-centered affirmations based on your transits in the year 2025. So if they resonate with you, I've made a PDF. It's linked below. You can either access it online or even print it if they really speak to you, for you to continue to remain empowered as you navigate these energies. So the affirmations are as follows. I embrace my most authentic self. As I embrace my most authentic self, I free those around me to embrace their most authentic self. It is safe for me to try new things. It is safe for me and my partner to try new things. It is safe for me to experiment with new sides of myself. I embrace change. I am open to connecting with new sorts of individuals. I embrace eccentricity. I embrace what's novel and unconventional about me, and I embrace what's novel and unconventional about others. I am a magnet for abundance. I am open to unexpected resources and support to find me. I embrace transformation. It is safe for me to transform. I let go of any career path that is not in alignment with my highest possible timeline. I stay focused on how I want my life to feel rather than how I want it to look. Work is something that allows me to nourish my inner landscape. I prioritize matters of the home. I face my emotions head on and I nurture myself within them. I show up for my craft. I refine my talent. I meet inspiration with discipline in order to bring my creations to life. So Sagittarius, I would love to know below, what are you excited about this energy? What are you a bit more trepidatious about? As I stated earlier, I am a belief that we co-create with the cosmos. So while these themes are indicated, get inspired. What will you create within the year 2025? I would love to know below, or my Instagram handle is @HaleyCommentAstrology. My TikTok is the same. If that is still a thing, moving into next year, who knows? A lot of interesting astrology that we are playing with. Again, if this was your first time stopping by my cosmic corner of the internet, would so love to have you around more often. I have all sorts of content on this channel for you to check out. All signs forecasts, going deep into all of these transits. If it's not live now, subscribe, because I will take each of these transits deep diving through every sign. So subscribe to stay tuned to that. I also have a weekly horoscope series called Magic Monday that breaks down the astrology of the week and how it is that you can make your life magical using astrology as a tool. That's what I'm all about here in my cosmic corner. So Sagittarius, make it a magical year, and until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.